Or they can see us.
Hello! Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on this fine Toronto morning? I'm Victoria Lorient Fabish, holistic psychotherapist, registered psychotherapist, speaker, and I'm here with the incomparable, badass businesswoman, Michelle Smith, fresh from yoga. She asked me to say that because she thinks she's yoga face. I'm like, you're gorgeous, period. You're just fantastic and beautiful, period. And I'm so honored to have you cross the city, the mighty city.
That's right.
And have you be here with me on my live show about being a badass woman. Hi, Wen. How are you? So let's talk about something that I encounter in my office, different people leaving corporate culture, different women in the business world leaving corporate culture, and men, women, whatever. And it's a struggle for some people. It's a real struggle. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's amazing. But I want to hear your take on, you know, you were deeply in the corporate culture, and then you've come out of the corporate culture. And tell me a little bit about, it's not always the answer. Let me hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, and so I was deeply in the corporate culture, but that was also running my own company,
Right.
so it had a slightly different nuance to it.
Okay.
But still, I had relationships and business partnerships and things of that nature that had all of the same challenges that you can have when you're dealing in an environment where you don't have complete authority
Okay.
to make all of the decisions, etc.
Okay.
But what I do agree with is that I've seen a ton of people leave corporate, right? There's been this spirit kind of in the past 4 or 5 years that
Right.
it's been this incredible message that it is now become very fashionable to be an entrepreneur. It is more fashionable to be a founder. It's fashionable to be a startup. It's so exciting because of the capabilities that we all have now with the reach of being online, that it truly has become a truth that it is possible for anybody to create a business and have a worldwide reach.
Yeah.
And have a runway success.
Yes.
And that idea is so enchanting, right? So everybody,
So why not go for it?
Absolutely, right? And I'm a huge fan of that, right? Entrepreneurship, I think, is tremendous. But there's also a truth to it that in order to really build a business, there's a huge amount of education that is required in order to be able to succeed.
Yeah.
There's also a huge amount of ingredients required if you're building an online business.
Right.
I know a lot of people who think that, I'm going to get somebody to build my website, and then I'm going to put up some videos, I'm going to get a YouTube channel,
No.
I'm going to post, and things are going to work. And the truth is there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are doing
the same thing.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so where I see the challenge, and where I have people come to me for advice, is that they are struggling to be able to build a platform, because that's where their sales funnel is generally going to come from.
Right.
And I see some of them really struggling financially, which
Right.
I think is the truth. To a lot of entrepreneurs, you have to have some, internal fortitude to make it through. But the discussion comes up often that is leaving corporate the answer? Or is the way that we have...
Or is there a medium place?
Or is it the way that corporate has always persisted to exist? Is shifting the way that the culture is also potentially an answer, right?
Okay.
That it depends on whose corporation it is, right? There's different corporate cultures depending upon which company people
Right.
are working inside of,
Right.
and that has a completely different life that you then get to experience. So
Right.
I don't think it can so be clearly defined that leaving corporate is the right answer. I think that finding work that you love to do with people that you love to do it with is the answer. So I don't think that we can really define it in those two distinct buckets as one or the other.
So tell folks, if you can, about some of the key things if you're going to leave corporate. And, because as you know and I know, many people in corporate culture are 100% being emotionally not okay in cult, and so they find themselves, they need to leave it, they need to get out of it, and they need to emotionally take care of themselves, they need to physically take care of themselves, because that business or that space can be really all consuming and can just ask every lifeblood of you.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna leave, can you, or what's your mind doing?
I'm saying that I think that it has everything to do with, it comes down to choices.
Right.
Right? Meaning life mapping choices. Making decisions on what kind of life would you like to experience with the gift of this life that you have?
Right.
And the old ideology, when you just take a look at history, right? When North America was first starting to boom, and then the industrial age came in, and all of these jobs were made available, and people started to have things that they had never had before. That the dream of being able to own homes and then provide better lives for your children. Just the old kind of traditional systems that were built for a world that was better as a result of those systems.
Right.
And so just the question to be asked now, should we be continuing to use those same systems that were created and started to have been built 150 years ago as the right pathway today?
Yeah.
Right? When the truth is very different.
Yeah.
There are lots of people who do have a certain degree of affluence. There are lots of different ways to be able to live your life. Do we need to go down the pathway of I have to purchase $1 million home, I have to work at somewhere that gives me a nice business card in order to feel as though I'm hitting the right status title on my for my identity, right? All of these questions, and then you also see other people making choices where they're not going to school. They're rebuffing even post-secondary education.
Right.
There are studies today that show curious results based upon what any of our decisions are, and so I think really the intent is to figure out what is the most best choice for the life that you want to be able to experience, and use that as a directional guide.
So what is optimal for you, be honoring yourself, and then of course everyone needs to make a living or needs to make make money. And so I talk about, in my office I talk, because I do partly coaching, life coaching as well as psychotherapy. So in the coaching end of things, I talk about it's not all or nothing. Sometimes it can be a little bit of corporate. There sometimes are ways to find a little bit of great money making to be made in the corporate culture, and then also really working, which I love it, called the side hustle. Work your side hustle. Don't abandon your side hustle. And some people say, well, I can't do a side hustle because this company is taking all of me. And so there needs to be a way to figure out how to work the side hustle. And work your soul. Work your soul happiness. Because life is short. I gotta tell you, life is short. It just flies by, and before you know it, and usually people are saying, wow, I've got this mortgage, and I've got this thing, and I've got this payment, and I've got this car, and I've got this lifestyle. And so sometimes you need to trade the lifestyle initially for, I believe, mental, emotional, spiritual balance. So that you can build on a platform of entrepreneurship where you are doing, but do it in a way that's, do it smart.
I agree. I mean, it's not easy.
No.
Right? Like, it's not easy.
No.
We live in
Being an entrepreneur, being a solopreneur, being any of those things it's badass. It's hard.
But also I think that it's really challenging when you have chosen a career path that has brought you into a corporate environment, and then if you do battle with the decision of should I stay or should I go, I don't think that's easy too, right? Because people have families, they have kids, they've got, camps. I mean, the cost of all of these things, the world that we live in is really, it's kind of insane how expensive it is to be able to live at the level of lifestyle that, to us really isn't that over the top. It really
it's not a millionaire's lifestyle. It's just a regular old, beautiful lifestyle.
But I totally also believe that it is fascinating how it is easy to remove things from that required lifestyle to give you some maneuverability. And it's a matter of mapping out, again, the choices, what are all of the options that you have, and putting together a plan. Most of the time we feel, the degree to which we feel excited about the future is how we feel about right now. Right? So if we look towards the future and we feel as though the future is going to be more pain, then that then puts us in a situation today where we feel as though we live in this constant state of, not despair, but total.
That's a good word.
Total, not feeling excited in any way. This muted version of life. If when we look towards the future, we see something that we're excited about, then we feel that now. Right? So we feel today about our expectations for what is to come, which is why I believe that part of the process is to do that exercise, to go through the mapping out of what do I want things to be, what would the roadmap look like to get there, be able to develop something that is accomplishable, so that it's a strategic plan. It mitigates your risk in the correct way. It takes into account all of the factors that are non-negotiables, but it still gives you the opportunity to create a plan for what the future is going to look like,
Right.
regardless of where you're starting from. Right? When you're starting, it has no bearing on where you end up whatsoever at all.
Where
It's
you
the-
start from has no bearing on where you end up.
Absolutely
I
not.
think that's so awesome.
Absolutely not.
And so creating say that again about a roadmap,
Yes.
and really finding out what your non-negotiables are.
Yes.
I'm a holistic, I'm a spiritual holistic person, and I see a lot of people saying, well, I don't know what I want, I'm going to just see what happens, I'm just going to see. I'm like, you know what, you got to get clear. You've got to take the time to become clear about what matters and doesn't matter to you, and to start to focus in on what it is that I say to people when they're looking to manifest a new life. Don't look at what you want. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel once I'm there?
Totally.
How do I want to feel once there? And start to write down, I feel respected. I feel like what I'm doing actually makes a difference. I feel these kinds of things. How do I feel? Not so much what do I want, but how do I want to feel?
Yes, and so that's fantastic. We used to use the same type of a tool when we were trying to figure out or work with people to help figure out what their path would be, right, inside of our business.
Right.
And so the question was, how do you feel now? How do you want to feel? What is going to be the map to map you from how you're feeling here